Hi there, and welcome to the Mend the Marriage Private Members Zone. First off, I want to say a sincere thank you for registering for my program. I really do appreciate it, and I'm confident that you'll be able to rescue your marriage if you follow my advice and put in the effort. This video has two parts. First, I'm going to quickly go over the program components and tell you a few important things about the program itself. And then in the second portion of the video, I'm going to share a few very important tips that you should put into practice immediately to start making some positive progress towards rebuilding your marriage. I'm also going to tell you what not to do so that you can avoid making any major mistakes over the next few days and weeks while you're working through my program. So please do me a favor, if you don't have 10 or 15 minutes to watch this video in full right now, either bookmark the page and return later to finish watching it, or leave your browser open to this page and come back to it when you do have time to watch the entire video. Now, let's begin by quickly talking about Mend the Marriage and the various program components that are included with your purchase. The core of the program is a 270-page ebook. This ebook, which you can read on your computer or any tablet or mobile device, is the most important part of the program. Now, if you're not the type of person who enjoys reading 270 pages of text, or if you're too busy to sit down and read through it, then you may choose to listen to the audio course instead. Again, the audio course is included in the program at no extra cost, and it covers all the same material as the Mend the Marriage ebook, broken down into 24 chapters. You can download the audio course and put it on your iPod, your phone, burn it onto a CD, etc. And then you can listen to the program in the car, at the gym, and so on. And don't worry, you don't have to listen to my voice the whole time. I've had a professional voiceover artist record it in his silky smooth voice to make for a more pleasant listening experience. And like I said, the ebook and the audio course are very similar, so you don't need to go through both unless you want to revisit some of the topics again and again and make sure you don't miss anything. And after you finish watching this video, which by the way is the first thing you should do after signing up, so I'm glad you're taking the time to watch it now, I recommend you begin reading the ebook or listen to the audio course. Save the video series, bonus books, and team building exercise for a later date after you finish reading the book or listening to the audio course. This will give you a better idea of the main concepts that I advise before you start getting into more specific topics that are covered in the videos and the bonus books. Once you finish watching this video and click the continue button at the bottom of the page, you'll be taken to the download zone where you can access the book and the audio course. And one final comment about the main Mend the Marriage ebook. This program is designed for people who are facing a number of different situations. Some customers are simply worried that their marriage is deteriorating. Others are facing divorce and have already separated from their partner. But I've covered a full range of potential scenarios you may be facing in the program. So no matter what your situation is, you will get advice tailored to suit any scenario. But that also means that there may be certain portions of the program that don't fully apply to you. So don't worry if you start reading and find the first few chapters aren't 100% relevant to you. Keep reading, and I promise that you'll soon learn strategies and techniques that do apply to your situation and that you can put into practice immediately to start repairing your marriage. And similarly, I don't recommend skipping chapters of the book, even if you think they're not going to be useful for you. I've written the book in a specific order, introducing concepts and background info early in the book that I'll revisit later and expand on in the later chapters of the book. After you've gone through the book and the audio course, you can check out the video series, team building worksheets, and the 3 bonus books in whatever order you feel is appropriate for your situation. And you may not need to read all 3 of the bonus books if one of them isn't really relevant to your situation. For example, if you don't have children, you can safely skip the Children and Divorce bonus book. And last note about the program itself, I've tried to make it incredibly simple to access the program components, even for the least computer savvy customers or those using a tablet or mobile device. There's clear instructions for downloading or opening each different program component. But in the unlikely event you do happen to run into problems, then the first thing to do is to check out the help and support section of the Member Zone to see solutions to common problems. That should resolve more than 90% of any issues you might face. But if you're still having trouble, please click the contact link at the top of the members section and describe the problem so that I can help you sort out the issue. For most of you, this won't be a problem, but please don't hesitate to contact me if you're having difficulties. I'm committed to providing support to all my customers. Okay, that's it for part 1 of this video. Thank you for sitting through that boring stuff. Now I want to move on and talk about a few things that you can do immediately to start improving your marriage and avoid causing any further damage. A lot of this stuff you may already know, but it's important to make sure that you get on the right path as soon as possible. And you can put the tips I'm about to share into practice right now. There's no need to wait until you've read the book. First of all, let's talk about a few things you absolutely should not be doing. These are things that will cause further damage to your marriage and that you need to avoid like the plague starting right now. Number 1, avoid initiating any conflicts with your spouse, no matter how convinced you are that you're right and your partner's wrong. I know this seems basic, but you do not need another fight with your spouse, especially before you've had a chance to go through my program. So even if your spouse does that stupid, annoying thing that you hate, try to bite your tongue for now, simply to ensure you don't end up in an argument. If it's really necessary to stick up for yourself and put up a fight over something, try to be as mature and non-confrontational about it as possible, or delay the discussion until you've had time to read through my entire program. And number 2, don't let your spouse draw you into an argument or serious discussion if you can avoid it. The biggest misconception that people have when trying to fix a troubled marriage is the belief that communication can solve all your problems. Maybe you've heard others encourage you to talk it out with your partner. And sometimes, to be fair, that is definitely good advice. But more often than not, those talks actually end up causing more harm than good. So until you've had a chance to read through my program and you understand how to safely communicate with your spouse, it's better just to avoid any prolonged serious chats with your partner. And you should definitely try to avoid being dragged into drama or bickering matches. There may be times when this isn't possible without seeming rude or unreasonable, but whenever you can escape from an argument or a discussion about the problems in your marriage, definitely do so for now. Number 3, don't beg, plead, cry, or show your emotions in a highly public manner. In other words, keep your emotions in check, at least when your spouse or friends and family are around. I know you're probably feeling emotional at the moment, and at times you may be sad, depressed, angry, and that's all completely normal and to be expected at this point. But showing those emotions to your partner or putting them on display for the world to see will only make matters worse. Try not to have a breakdown or an angry outburst in public, and do your best to avoid showing your true intentions for now. In my program, you'll learn when it's okay to show emotion and tell your spouse how you're feeling, and you'll also learn why you need to keep certain emotions to yourself in order to shift the balance of power and make yourself more attractive to your spouse. But suffice to say, for now, it's best to keep your emotions in check as much as you can. Number 4, don't make drastic changes to your life or your habits. Just keep on living life as you have been, minus the emotional outbursts and the conflict with your spouse for the time being. You need to retain a sense of normalcy wherever possible, so don't start suddenly skipping out on family meals or heading out of town with friends every weekend. Just try to avoid rocking the boat too much at first. And number 5, very important one, don't neglect your children, your career, your health, or other important aspects of your life. This one applies not just temporarily while you're reading through my book, but throughout the entire process of fixing your marriage. You simply cannot allow yourself to give up on daily responsibilities or neglect friendships or your career. For one thing, failing to maintain other aspects of your life will make you less attractive to your spouse and won't make him or her want to stay with you. And secondly, although I'm going to help you save this marriage and fall back in love with your partner, the reality is that not every single one of my customers is going to succeed, no matter how much expert guidance they receive. And if you happen to be one of the unlucky few who isn't able to repair things with their partner, then you need the other aspects of your life to be healthy and stable while you go through the difficult stages of divorce. Again, this won't be a problem for many of you watching this video, but you should still ensure that you don't neglect important things like your kids or your job at any point. Number 6, try to avoid nagging your spouse. This isn't just something that women do. Nagging and whining about your partner's habits or actions is a universal issue that every married couple faces. But it can also be very damaging. Perhaps you've heard of something called the criticize-withdraw cycle. So do your best to keep the nagging and complaining to yourself for now. In my program, I explain some things you can do to change your spouse's habits without having to nag or causing them to become frustrated at your criticisms. So for now, just try to keep the criticisms to yourself. And speaking of which, that actually ties in nicely with the last important tip, and that is number 7, stay positive. Put on your happy face. Seriously, this is an important one that a lot of people fail to recognize, but no one, including your spouse, enjoys being around an overly negative or apathetic person. Even though you may not really be enjoying life at the moment, things are going to improve in the near future, so there's good reason for you to turn your frown upside down. But even more importantly, you want your spouse to stop dreading the idea of spending time with you. And as soon as possible, you want to start having fun together again. And this is a critical component of my program. Changing your spouse's perception of you and getting them to start seeing the positive traits that caused him or her to fall in love with you in the first place. So get a head start on this by retaining a positive outlook and making sure you're a fun person to be around. You can make a whole lot of progress towards fixing your marriage just by making your partner laugh, smile, and have a good time when they're in your presence. So keep smiling and stay positive. Okay, so those are the key things you should avoid doing for now while you're reading through the program and working through the first stages of repairing your relationship. We're almost done with this video, but before I sign off, there's a couple of quick things that you can do starting now to begin improving your marriage. Number 1, without seeming too forced or awkward, compliment your spouse once in a while. Now, don't overdo it to the point where your husband or wife thinks you're acting weird with all the compliments. Just drop an occasional compliment or some positive reinforcement when the opportunity presents itself. For example, if your partner's been caring for an elderly parent, you might tell them how impressed you are with their caring and compassionate side. Or if your spouse recently completed a big project at work, tell them you're proud of their hard work and compliment them on how good they are at their job. Something like that. It can even be something super simple like saying, you know, you're actually a really good driver when you're together in the car. Again, don't force it. Just make sure you occasionally drop some positive reinforcement when your spouse has earned it. One heartfelt, meaningful compliment every couple days is a great start. Number 2, on your own, or at least without your spouse's participation, try to do something new and different. This is partly to show your partner that you're still a fun person who's going to live life to the fullest, no matter what problems you may be having at home. And when I say do something new, I don't mean that you have to do something extravagant or expensive. And similarly, it shouldn't be something that your spouse is going to disagree with or be opposed to. But for example, maybe you and some friends have always talked about going bungee jumping. So, this weekend, pick up the phone and organize a bungee jumping day next weekend with your friends. Or maybe you've always wanted to learn how to paint. So sign up for an evening class at your local community college and go to the classes once a week for a couple months. Even something just extremely simple, like meeting a friend from work for a drink one evening, can send subtle but powerful signals to your spouse that it will start to change their perception of you into something more positive and desirable. Number 3, if necessary, do more than your share of the work for the next few weeks. Now, this may not be relevant if you're fortunate enough to never quarrel with your spouse over chores and housework, but most couples do have those arguments from time to time. So, for instance, maybe your partner's always complaining about having to pick up the kids from soccer practice and do the grocery shopping. Well, now is a good time to take on a task or two that you've fought against in the past, such as volunteering to do the grocery shopping when your partner is driving the kids home. Just something simple like that. And again, don't do this too eagerly, or your partner will start wondering, why the hell you've suddenly embraced the job of taking out the trash. So just quietly bite the bullet and contribute more than usual towards daily chores and responsibilities. Over time, you can bring your share of the housework back down to more of a 50-50 relationship, but in the short term, you can avoid conflict and build some brownie points by doing some extra work around the house. Oh, and there's no need to say anything about this to your spouse. Just quietly take on a few extra chores or duties without being asked or without making a fuss over it. And finally, number 4, if you make a mistake or you realize you've done or said something extremely hurtful to your spouse, apologize. Now, be extremely careful with this one. As you'll see in my program, overdoing it with the apologies and groveling can be very dangerous. But if you do realize that you've done something wrong, issue a single heartfelt apology to your spouse. No need to say it a million times or talk about what you did wrong. Just say something like, I realize now that I got a little heated when we were talking earlier, and I'm sorry for yelling. I know it doesn't help, so I'll try to avoid getting so worked up next time. And that's it. You've shown some integrity by owning up to your wrongdoings, issued a genuine apology, and left it at that. This is an excellent way of showing to your spouse that you're aware that you've played a role in the problems that are plaguing your marriage. And there's also a good chance that at this point your partner may feel like you're always blaming the problems on them. So it's a good way to subtly show that you're aware that you're also sometimes at fault for some of the problems in the marriage. Okay, that's enough information for now. Thanks for taking the time to stick it out and watch this video. If you take my advice and put into practice the tips I've shared with you over the past few minutes, you're already far better off than you were before you started watching. You can also feel good about the fact that your marriage is now on the right track and it's all uphill from here. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, even if things seem hopeless or desperate right now. Once again, thank you very much for signing up for my program. If you have any problems accessing the rest of the program components, or if you just have a quick question about something in the book, just click the contact link at the top of the member zone and shoot me a quick email. I'm happy to help. I sincerely hope you find the program helpful. I'm confident you will because thousands of other customers already have, and I wish you all the best in your efforts to rebuild a happy, healthy marriage. So now you can go ahead and click the big continue button at the bottom of the page, enter the members download zone, and access the rest of the program components. Thanks for watching. See you soon.